we can see, oh, beautiful art.
Okay, let's have a blast because it's the end of the week. Let's have fun. Let's see. Okay, so the art of sharing dreams. I want to tell a little bit of my story. Mostly, in this case, mostly as an artist, because I consider myself a creative director and a commercial creative, but at the same time, I consider myself an artist. And I want to go within the story and use this as an excuse so you guys get to know me a little bit more. Someone is sending me messages, or what is this deal? Wait a minute. Is someone sending messages to me? I hear like, tudum, tudum. Yeah, that must be the chat. Anyway, so how I go from being the stupid kid, and trust me that I was considered an idiot pretty much officially by a teacher, to become a creative director and an artist. And then we will talk about this art of sharing dreams, how I use my dreams as an inspiration, or actually I just copy my dreams and I try to illustrate them so other people can see it. Let's talk a little bit about it. So who the hell is this Spanish dude? I think it's very annoying when someone start talking to you about his life or whatever, but you don't even know who is this person. So this is Manuel. I'm Spanish, originally born in Gran Canaria. Most of my life spent in Malaga, south of Spain, 20 plus years outside of Spain in 9 different countries. So I consider myself a storyteller, a retoucher. I did a lot of that. A skateboarder, injured skateboarder, but still a skateboarder. A visual artist, a designer. I worked in motion before. 3D fanatic, creative director. That's the title that I have when it comes to work. Illustrator. I did a lot of illustration. Motion and film director. This is what I'm doing the most recently. Someone who lives in 9 countries, believe it or not, can speak 4 different languages. Presenter, I did, I don't know how many presentations in my life, so many. A coach and a teacher. I've been teaching both in the private and public universities, arts teacher before. I teach art direction. I teach as well, at some point, some 3D many years ago. Casual gamer. Yeah, I realized working at Playsense that I am a casual gamer, not a hardcore gamer. But I'm being a gamer since forever. And a student, that's something that for me is very important. I always try to learn something. That's why the more it's like, oh, I can do this, but overall, I'm just always studying. A radio speaker, at some point, I was in the radio, believe it or not. So I was just using this voice to talk to the people in the radio. So I was doing that kind of stuff before. I did that as well. But overall, and more importantly, I think I'm a dreamer. And that's kind of be, for me, the essential thing in my life. Commercially, okay, and I hate to do this type of thing because it looks like you're bragging, but it's just for you to get a little bit of context, what commercial I've been doing. I work for all these brands, like mostly many years for Nike, Xbox, Coca-Cola very recently, Heineken, you name it. Like I've been doing a lot of work. If you go to my website, I put at the very end, you can see more. But actually what is on my website is a third or like a very little part of what I did. I just put some of the stuff, but I've been working a lot since I was very young. Started like 19 years old, 20 years old to work. So my story starts with, I come from a broken family. I must say my mom was very hot. It was the very young, hot girl. It's like Malagueña, I was a lady from Malaga. My father came from the Canary Island, that is in North Africa. And I saw this hot girl. And they were just, if you ask me, very hot looking people, a little bit stupid. They got drunk, something happened, and then I came, right? So for me, like disaster is the beginning of my life. They were too young to have this kid, broke up pretty soon, dramatic thing. My father abandoned us. And in the middle of all that, I was in the school in Malaga, and the teacher came to my mom and said, you know what? We believe your kid has an issue. We think he's retarded or something. Still, some of my ex-girlfriends, they still feel the same until today. But it was very shocking for my mom. So like, what's happening with the kids? So what was happening is that coming from the broken family with a father that went away. I guess he was pretty young to just deal with the whole thing that happened. Then I was just all the time using my imagination, and I have something called attention deficit disorder that these days it's like there's a diagnostic for that. But back then I was just stupid. So and what happened was that I was always using my imagination to escape from the reality. And then even though for a big portion of my life I thought I was stupid, then at some point I realized what was happening to me. And so that's very important, slide for me, because that explains a big part of why I've been illustrating dreams, why I've been like sharing dreams, and why I became a creative. Because creativity for me was a way to escape from the reality. And it's funny when I see this teacher still alive that he thought I was stupid. It's like, come on, man. Maybe I was just a little bit stupid, but not that much, maybe. I came from a frustrated mother. As much as my mother was very hot when she was young, I think she was a frustrated artist. She tried, like my grandmother, a few times to do some, and by the way, this painting is from my mom. She tried to do some galleries and she didn't sell much. So she always injected in me that, being a creative is just a hobby. Don't do it for a living, because that's not going to be, you're not going to make a living out of it. That was a fight coming as well from my grandmother, who tried as well. So she kind of like tell this to my mother, and my mother ended up telling me this thing to me. And we will see why I'm explaining this and why it's relevant. This is very embarrassing, but I thought it's funny. So you can see here, like we jumped from being a kid to, at that time, I think I was like 16, 17 years old. You see me with the long hair. I have like a rock band. I was playing drums in the rock band. Life was kind of good and fun. And then suddenly this guy that you can see there, the one on the bottom left, this guy was my best friend, still is my best friend, very young. It happened with him the same that happened in my family. He got in this party with this girl, she got pregnant, and he got a kid. And suddenly, come on, man, we're rock stars and you're having a kid so soon. And I was at that time so young. And then the guy's like, that happened like a couple of years after this photo, but he was very young. And then he got a kid. And that was super shocking for me, to the point that I was always dreaming with him and the kid. I have a repetitive dreams. So I started illustrating my dreams because of this specific thing, because I wanted him to see the dreams I was having, because I thought they were beautiful dreams. And I remember having a beer with him, being a bit drunk, and we were like, and he was like, man, what the hell? You should show me that. And then I just started learning 3D. At that time was 3D Max. Started learning 3D, mixing with Photoshop and illustration. That's like many, many years ago. And then I created this thing that was what I could see in my dream. And what I always see him is, he is on the left side. He will always looking like some kind of bird or some kind of insect that was taking care of the baby, that was always in between flowers and stuff. I know the technique is not really sophisticated. This is very, very old, but there was my first try to actually allow myself to be creative. And you say, why you didn't allow yourself to be creative before? Because my mom was telling me that it's just a hobby. You cannot make a living with this. You should not dedicate too much time to it. So this was a great excuse to start doing this type of thing. And then I started doing it with other dreams. Like, for example, this is an ex-girlfriend from back in the days. And then I remembered that I always dreamed that her hair started growing and some kind of like living hair hat type of thing will come. And again, I tried to explain to her, and she was like, have you been drinking again, or what happened to you? And then I was like, no, let me just show to you. And then I did this type of thing. So what happened with that? Nothing really happened, but everything did happen. So I put this online. Was the very first time that there was some websites around. I put these illustrations that I show you too, but I did like a series of many other, and I put them online, and I thought nobody is gonna care about this. But then suddenly they were inviting me to talk about these illustrations, and they put me in books and stuff. It's like, what people is doing? This is crazy. To the point that actually helped me to work in a company in London called AKQA, mostly working for Nike and Xbox, when my illustrations and all my crazy stuff had nothing to be with the job itself, but they like it so much, they were like, hey, we want this type of creativity for mostly for Nike and Xbox. And I ended up in London. That's how I learned English, by the way. So once in London, I have the opportunity to, I was doing a lot of design and advertising for video games. I was playing a lot of video games, and I was advertising a lot of video games and a lot of shoes for Nike. And then one day we got this opportunity where the boss told me, you know what, when I saw you in the interview and I saw your illustrations, I thought this is going to be for something. We have a pitch to participate in the creation of the new Xbox 360. We didn't know the name at that time. It was going to be called Xbox Xenon. And man, I want you to dream some shit, bro, and then do it and then illustrate it. And we show it to the Microsoft people and see if we can get the pitch. And I was like, what? You want me to dream on demand? How is this possible? Lucky enough, like a few days after, and I was trying to pretend that I was dreaming and just thinking some ideas, I fall completely slept. And then I had a lot of very intensive dreams for a few days that I was actually inside the new Xbox console. And within the inside, this is the type of stuff that I was seeing. So because of that, I tried to illustrate it. I made it in 3D, we animated, and I create like a new interface design for the console. But then I got into some kind of like mental debate, a little bit of a crisis, because I felt like I sold my dreams for money until one day I fall asleep in Tokyo. So what happened was, I'm many years working advertising, different agencies, whatnot, and I have a little bit of a crisis. I was really tired of these annoying clients over and over, treating you like you are a supermarket of ideas, and you have to kind of like be doing many ideas for them to choose number 3, but I'm gonna change it, whatever. And I was like, fuck this shit, man. Like, no, I'm not gonna do advertising for a while. I need a break. So I went to Tokyo, and in Tokyo, I was at the same time starting to work a little bit, and I was just at the same time started to explore Japan a lot, learning Japanese, and I fall asleep. But I fall asleep out of being completely tired, but happy that I was trying something different with this bill in my hands. So I have a 1,000 yen bill in my hands. And what I was looking at this illustration of Fuji-san, of the mountain Fuji. This is in Hokane, that's from the lake area. And I was looking at the illustrations and thinking, wow, it would be so cool to go here. I would love to go here. I would love so much to go here. Boom, and I fall asleep. And what happened, I felt like in Doctor Strange, that my soul get out of my body and went inside the bill, from a corner of the bill. And I could see the illustration from inside the bill. So I just called the lady, who Suki-san, who was my girlfriend for 8 years together at that time. And I was like, Suki, you know what? I was in the train and I checked this. Exactly the same that happened with my friend back then. And he was like, you should stop drinking Sapporo. That's number 1. Number 2, you need to do an illustration of that. No, but that's my dreams, whatever. It's like, stop that shit. Just do it. And I was like, damn it, I'm going to do it. And I did it. And this is what I saw. As soon as I got into the bill, what you can see here, that's the corner of the bill. And I got inside, and I remember seeing this koi fish moving around. I remember to see this kind of really empty space there. And I saw that turtle like holding the whole thing, and that cloud and all that stuff. It was amazing, much better than this. This you see, it's just like a frame, but I was there, flying there and seeing this whole thing. I had no idea that this illustration could be liked by anyone or anything. But then I just started to move it around, put it on my Instagram. And I was so shocked with how the people reacted. And I thought, you know what, let's do something. Can I find, and I propose this to you guys if you want to do it, can I find a process to remember the dreams? How can I do that I start remembering the dreams and I'm able to illustrate them or visualize them or animate them in purpose? How can I train myself to remember the dreams? So then I did some research and I found that, number one, you can program yourself. We all can do. Didn't you have that experience where you think like, oh, tomorrow I have to wake up at 8, I should wake up at 8, and then suddenly you wake up at 8 and right like 1 minute or a few seconds before the alarm rings? I realized at that point, the brain can be programmed. You can tell your brain to remember the dreams. And you say like, oh man, but that's so difficult. What I need to do? No, you don't need to do anything. Just need to tell, hey, I want to remember those dreams. I want to recall at some point about those dreams. Second thing you need to do, very simple, nothing magical. You just take like a notepad or like an iPad or anything, you put it close to your bed. All of us, it happens to many of us at least, we at some point go to pee. We're just in sleeping and then I need to go to the toilet. And if you program yourself to remember the dream, you will remember the dream. And then you will start putting notes, even these crazy notes. Hey, I saw myself flying in a lot of koi fish. I saw this, I saw that. And then you go fall asleep again. Don't worry about it. And in the morning, the first thing you do, you're having breakfast, you're just peeling your banana or preparing your toast, and you start saying out loud, even though some people are going to think you're crazy, you're saying out loud what you saw. Oh, last night I just saw this and this and this and that. And I guarantee you that you can do the same I do. I'm not more clever than anyone. I just find some kind of technique. I try this technique and see what happened. I fail sometimes, but then suddenly, boom, I was just having a lot of dreams that I remember, and I was able to visualize all those dreams. And then I went from having only one dream to boom, boom, boom. I was just creating a lot of stuff. For example, this one. So how this thing happened, there's one thing called the kasari that is a Japanese Christmas decoration that I find so beautiful. So it was my first Christmas in Japan. And I remember seeing these things that it looks like even like some kind of alien things, like, oh my God, this is a Christmas decoration in the Japanese way. I love it. So I fall asleep that day. And then I remember I was at that time living in Hayama, that is close to the sea. And I remember in my dream to see the tuna, the fish, the birds, all of them, they were actually building my own Christmas trees, Christmas decoration, because my own kasari, because I was telling to a friend of mine, hey, I would love to learn to do those decorations. And the animals, they were just trying to do the decoration for me as a present. And I was like, I have to give this back to the world. And I'm going to just do the decoration using illustration. And this is what I saw. A little bit of detail here so you can see closer. Another thing that I tend to do, I have a lot of insomnia issues because I always creating shit. Always like, oh, let's do this, let's do that tomorrow in the presentation or whatever. I'm always like that. Something that counts me a lot is to watch some video about space, about how they work in the space station or how we are reaching Jupiter or whatever. And that night I was watching this documentary about how they eat in the space station. And I was shocked that I thought all they eat is this kind of powder thing that you put some water and just drink it somehow. But no, yes, they have a lot of dehydrated type of food, but as well, they eat real food. And so I was thinking, oh, wait, imagine eating sushi on the space station. And I fall asleep. And what I saw this like sushi there and myself trying to eat the sushi, but everything was floating around. And I broke the one of the chopsticks in frustration and leave it there. And then I remember looking at it floating in the space and I was like, damn, that is so beautiful. I love this disaster. This mess is beautiful. And lucky enough, I was drinking a lot of water and I needed to pee. So I went to pee. So, oh, the sushi in the space. I put on the notes. And then there you have it, sushi in the space. Or this one is called kumade. So kumade is a Japanese lucky charm. So they normally, if you want to be lucky, what they do, they use this brush that they use in the garden, and they will start putting stuff that represent good luck, whatever is the thing. At that time, I started feeling a little bit depressed. Reason being, I had a lot of pain in my foot. I actually had 5 surgeries with that foot, in that foot already. And I feel much better now, by the way. So it was very painful. I could not skate, but then someone explained me this thing and I fall completely asleep and out of the darkness. And it was very scary at the beginning. I saw this lady, this girl saying in Japanese, she said, Manuel-san, mondai nai, daijoubu desu. She said, like, Manuel, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. And I remember that even though she was very scary, I remember like the peace that I felt. And then suddenly what I see is one of these kumades building in real time, and all these different objects and animals and stuff there, like this whale and the butterflies and everything. And then I realized, and this one, that's why this illustration is very important for me, that when we dream, we actually, it's like going to the psychologist. All your issues, the things that you like, concerns, anything comes out. And I realized when I was doing the illustration that the meaning of all these things, why is this thing? Why is a whale? Why is this thing? So damn it, I really tell you guys, like, if you illustrate your dreams, it's like therapy and you're gonna save a lot of money. It really is good. Or this one. So there's one thing called Matsuri. Matsuri in Japan, they're like festivals. So they have all type of festivals. And they took me to this festival where they have these massive drums. And some of them are even bigger than this one. And people will be on top of the drum. And I was like, oh my God, that is a big drum. And this is so cool. And I remember that time it was Sapporo and Kirin. I remember I was just having some Sapporo, some Kirin, end of day, be tired, let's go to sleep. And then I dreamed that I was back in the situation where I was before. So I was like, hey, I am dreaming or I'm back to the Matsuri. But everything was so real. I could see people shouting, the guy like playing the drum, boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, and then suddenly start raining, start like getting really dark and raining. And in Malaga, in the south of Spain, we have something similar. We call it tronos. And what we do when it rains, everybody has to kind of guide the tronos, the big platform, like massive thing, in this case, the taikos or the drums, to some place so that it's like in shelter, so the rain doesn't destroy this antiques and amazing piece of art. So in my dream, suddenly the taikos start like floating. What is going on? And then one guy there was like grabbing this rope like it's a sailor man, and they were just flying in the sky, trying to get out of the rain, as this orca or like the killer wave and the crowd was kind of guiding them. And I was like, yes, I should have less Sapporo next time, but that was a lot of fun. I'm gonna illustrate this thing. And this is kind of like what I saw. It's pretty close to what I saw. With the guy, the sailor man flying with the taiko. So all of a sudden, I start putting this online, and I think nobody's gonna like this thing. My mom always told me, you cannot make a living out of this. Nobody's gonna care, blah, 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 blah. But then, damn it, I was invited to give talks about it. Like me, like an artist, well, okay, maybe I can talk about my commercial work, but like an artist, are you sure? And I was kind of apologetic there, like, sorry for wasting your time talking about my dreams and stuff. And people love it. People were like cheering and stuff. And I was very intentionally hiding to everybody that I was working on the Xbox. I didn't want to be the Xbox guy anymore. And suddenly I was like, you know what? You can do many other things in life. you don't need to be the Xbox guy. Maybe you can be the dream guy as well. You can be many other things. And I realized at that point. And so I started playing with 3D again. So I didn't play with 3D for like 20 years since 3D Max. And then I was like learning this cinema 4D. And then I started illustrating new dreams. And in this one, they are called ikebanas. So ikebana is like a floral artistic thing. So it's you do decoration with flowers in Japan by using pieces of flowers and leaves and plants and stuff, and you create the decoration. And a friend of mine who does ikebana, she told me the trick of the ikebana is that you allow the flowers to tell you what to do. You don't tell the flowers you to do, but you follow the flowers to make the creation be done by itself. And this is what I did in 3D. Yes, I know, not the best 3D in the world, but I was kind of trying and practicing. And it was a lot of fun because I was not, okay, I have to do this, but I was kind of like following in my dream, whatever the flower is telling me. Whatever is the shape, it makes sense, it doesn't make sense, it's weird or whatever. And then I just did it in 3D. Then pandemic happened. It was my 8 years relationship came to an end. The Japanese lady decided that she doesn't want to be waiting for me because I came to Spain, back to Spain to have surgery. And one surgery was not good, second surgery was not good, pandemic is in the middle. And suddenly she broke with me. And I was like, okay, after 8 years of relationship, I was gonna get married with this Japanese lady. That's why I learned the bloody Japanese. And then suddenly I'm here in a pandemic with my foot not getting anywhere, completely alone. And I start having these weird dreams where stuff start hugging each other. That was so strange. And I remember seeing random objects hugging each other. I guess all I was needing at that time, and I don't want to feel like PD, I don't want to be PD at the time. I already got over the relationship. I'm fine, I'm good, I'm happy, I'm working with Playsense. It's still good. But at that time, the sadness was reflected in the dreams with this. So I thought, you know what? I'm gonna use the 3D tool to do this thing. And actually, by doing it, I felt better. Like you take something out of your chest, and I just make these objects like hugging each other, pretty much in the same way that was happening in my dreams. So I had to find the objects here and there, or just create some of them, create the ropes and create all that stuff. And this is the next thing that I did. But then when I already thought, okay, you know what, like I'm gonna abandon the previous illustration style or whatever, something really cool happened. I put a post on internet that I did a new illustration with a software called Affinity Photo. They are the competitors of Adobe Photoshop. So basically, and I was just using this iPad here, you can see here. And then I was just with the iPad and I didn't know what software. I checked Photoshop is really bad. And I checked that software and I started like, okay, composing this thing. And I created this dream. So this dream happened already. I'm already in Spain, missing Japan so bad. And that day was it's called the Kodomo no Hi. Kodomo no Hi means the day of the children. And in the day of the children, they celebrate in Japan the children. And I just got this iPad and I wanted to do something with the iPad. And I started like mixing a little bit of 3D, painting on top, photo bashing and mixing things with this new software. And I put a post that I did this with this software. And then the CEO, the bloody CEO of the company came to me and say, now this is the reason why we did this software, for people to do this type of things. We want to buy your stuff. Like, what? We want to buy your stuff. We want to buy that dream, man. Like, oh, and then I had that conflict. Shit, it's like when the Xbox thing, now people wants to buy all my dreams. Is that kind of like betraying myself? And I was like, you know what? My dreams are like my imagination. It's just an expression of imagination. So they want to buy it and that will allow me to do more art, then let it be. When I wanted to figure it out, my illustration was everywhere in their commercials, all the posts. I was giving like, I was on online sessions to talk about how I did it, whatever. It was everywhere. And it became kind of like the visual for a new visual to represent the software. And these people, for example, from this magazine, they saw these things like, wow, we saw this thing you did with this software, and we need a cover for a magazine. And dude, can you just dream something about this new jellyfish that it was found that they think is immortal? What is really cool. So the jellyfish never dies. And I was like, can I train myself to dream about jellyfish? And then I did an experiment. And after a few days, I got it. So not only you can program yourself to remember your dreams, but I realized you can actually dream on purpose, like not specifically, but you can say, I want to dream with, and I've been always in my dream, I see a lot of animals and flowers and stuff. So I was like, okay, let's do it. And I did it with the software, and it was in the cover magazine. But even more, then affinity people saw that, and they were like, dude, so can you really dream on demand? I want you to keep dreaming, bro. Like, just do another jellyfish, whatever. We just buy it. We're just gonna use it. Like, okay, you pay me what I want, and I just need to dream and do my thing. Okay, sounds good. And this what happened. Boom, ended up being the flat screen of the software. So crazy enough, that thing ended up being in the software I created with. And I was like, what? That's so surreal. Like, now you download the software, update it, and then you see, and like thousands of people seeing this thing again. So I was like, this is happening like with Xbox. When you dream something and you just let it, people get to know what you dream about, man, don't keep it to yourself. Many other people can enjoy, and actually maybe you can make a living out of it. And then I was like, okay, but I found, and I found quite great the fact that I can use illustration and creativity to release myself from a psychological point of view. And then I started illustrating as well nightmares. I was like, okay, I have nightmares. Let's give it a go. I want to remember my nightmare and see what happened. And then I have this nightmare. That was quite shocking for me, because I saw myself as a kid, the idiot kid, on top of this monster. It was like a weird frog with massive teeth, a big tongue, thirsty of blood or something. And I was just trying to tame the monster there. And I remember in the dream, I was the older man. I was going to see the old man, but the older man that I am now, looking at myself as a kid in the dream, in the middle of this black space, and seeing this, and then myself as a kid look at me and say, Manuel, you can tame the monsters of your life, the monster of your mind, he said. And I saw this thing and I was like, oh, wow, that was a nightmare, because I was kind of scared, but that was really cool. And that was a big reminder for me that most of the time, especially creative people, we suffer a lot with our own brain, our own minds. That is what shines, but it's what kills us as well. It was give us a lot of pain. So by doing this thing, it felt to me like a piece of pain that I was having from overthinking, and from always, being scared of stuff, and from think that I'm still that silly boy that was suffering bully because he was an idiot. The teacher said, you're an idiot, and all that stuff. I could pull it out just by illustrating this thing. So I didn't know how to do a monster. I didn't know enough 3D, and I just went into this software called Blender and started trying and create the monster, and realizing that the monster is jumping because it's like the mind is jumping from one place to the other. The monster has a big mouth because it's like your mind is always talking. It's always looking for you. It has teeth and it's thirsty of your attention, of your ego attention. And that's why the monster came this way. So it was a very therapeutical. Some people think this, some people don't like it. It's like, oh, this is the illustration that you did, or the work that you did. I like the list. Yes, but it helped me one of the most as a human being. And then even I start thinking, oh, if I can illustrate nightmares and dreams, maybe I can illustrate dreams that have to be with homesick and nostalgia. All these years I've been 20 plus years outside of Spain and missing Malaga in the south of Spain, where I am now, thanks to you guys, because I can work from here. And then I remember in Malaga, we have this lighthouse that it's beautiful. We call it in a feminine way. Normally in Spanish, the word depending of the word has gender. So for example, table is a girl, the sea is a girl, the sun is a guy. So normally we would say this lighthouse is a guy, but we call it a girl because for us, it's kind of as sensitive as a woman is. So we have a big respect for it. And I always have this dream with this lighthouse where it's just this thing jump, where I am flying towards the lighthouse like a mosquito is flying to a bulb. But not only me, that I was suspended on top of the water, but the fish is flying. The everything is just trying to go towards this beautiful lighthouse that we have in Malaga. And I had this dream repeating over and over for years. And that was the nostalgia, that is the homesick. I did it and then ended up being the cover of an important magazine in Spain, talking about Malaga, talking about the soul of Malaga soul. And then this thing came. And then another thing that happens to me, and that's why I am so curious to get to know better the script writers in the company, is that I tend to dream with movies. I see movies in my dreams. And sometimes I'm so engaged that all I need is just a little bit of popcorn. But I am kind of like, oh, I want to see, I don't want to wake up. I don't want to see how this movie ends. So I thought, wait, can I illustrate my dreams that are movies? And so, yes. And for example, this one is a movie I dream with that's called Edo Set War. That is like the set war with zombies and stuff, but in the Edo period in Japan. And this moment of the movie is when the priest is trying to call to avoid more blood happening. Even the army is behind is calling. It was calling with a bell the zombies to a frozen lake, so they fall in the frozen lake and they get stuck there. In my dream, that was, I tell you, that was like a movie. I see this like a movie. And then I was like, damn it, maybe I cannot do the movie. I don't have the budget. I don't know the people, but I can illustrate that moment of the movie. And that's what came. Or this one was, again, like I was checking something about Mars and colonizing Mars and terraforming Mars. And I have this dream of an astronaut that went to Mars and realized that actually Mars was already growing as a living space by some alien creatures. And he fell in love with one of them. That reminds me to the movie Splash. It's a very old movie. But it was a beautiful romantic story between a human and an alien in Mars. And this is one of the moments when he arrives and he's really shocked that Mars is not all just sun and boring things, but actually is living there, is life there. And this is what I saw in the dream. So, and I'm finishing. Not much more to go, but I'm gonna try to go faster so I don't want to bore you guys. Something crazy happened that it was like a full circle. My mom always kind of prevent me to actually, and I don't want to demonize my mom. I think my mom, it was always doing this thing because she was scared of me failing and feeling the same way she felt and my grandma felt. But it was amazing to actually being called after I put all this stuff online by a gallery in Malaga and say, we give you 2 big rooms. We want your dreams in the room. And that was so like, oh my God, really? And I ended up seeing my name there, like, oh my God, in my hometown, huge there, big gallery for me to put all my dreams. And you cannot imagine when I just put this thing and I was walking through the space and I see, and people will not know I was the artist doing this thing. And I will see people looking at the different piece of art and how some people got so emotional about it. And I remember listening in purpose on a conversation of like a couple say, it's like this guy created windows or doors to his mind and his dreams, and he opened up for us to see. And that for me was beautiful, beautiful experience to see when you do something with all the best intentions of just sharing, you know, what you saw in a dream, and you get people to feel emotional about it and be in the dream with me. That felt amazing. Completely like blown away by the experience of doing this thing. The very last part is where I thought, okay, if I use 3D and I get better at 3D, maybe I'm gonna get the people to actually be able to see more realistic what I saw. And one thing, I don't know why, maybe I was a gardener in a previous life or something, but I see a lot of flowers and I see a lot of animals, jellyfish and stuff like that. So then I dreamed with this flower and I was like, I have to make it much more realistic. And this is my first try to make it a more realistic flower that looks nearly exactly like what I saw in my dream. And by the way, all these flowers that I'm going to show you, all of them, they were reacting to my emotion. So whenever I feel like sad or scared, they will close. Whenever I feel better, they will open. So now I'm kind of on my free time that I don't have much, but I'm trying to, I'm already animating these flowers and so on. A top view of that flower, and we get a detail of that flower. People ask me, so why you put so much detail on the flower? You can render and see from the distance. Because when I dream with the flowers, they are like landscapes more than flowers. They're like places for me to feel good. Then with this flower as well, a bit of detail of the flower. Yes, some mistakes here and there, but I think you get the idea. Some detail of that same flower. This one, there you have it. There you go. Then we have this one. That's this flower. I dreamed with this flower during Christmas. And it's funny because when I created, people's like, oh, it reminds me Christmas decoration. Yes, it makes perfect sense because I dream after I prepare my Christmas tree at home and I saw all the gold, the balls and stuff. And that's why I dream with this way. This one, and this one. I was finishing this one while I started working at Playsense. This is very recent for me. This one, and I remember and thank you so much, guys, because I put it on Play group and people was like commenting and liking it. So thanks so much. It means a lot to me that I can share this stuff and people spend at least a couple minutes, maybe half a minute to look at it. It's already for me enough to feel very content and happy. This one. And to the point, crazy enough, that later, and it happens more and more, even today I was presenting some of the stuff, one of the ideas that I actually cannot dream with it. Partly I dream with the idea. So I was presenting. So now that I'm in peace with myself, you know, using my dreams even for work or for whatever, actually I have this really cool idea in a pitch for Coca-Cola. And I think, I don't want to keep saying dragging. I made a lot of mistakes in my life as well. Many, more than things I did good. But this was a good thing where right before I started working for Playsense, I was working for another company. I pitched for a big, huge project for Coca-Cola for this new Coca-Cola that has a new flavor called Dream World. It tastes a little bit like candies. And then I was like, oh, my proposal to the client was like, I explained a little bit about me. I said, look, I illustrate my dreams. And you have a product that's called Dream World. What if everything we do it based on my dreams? So you can check it. And all these are dreams that I was having with candy and stuff. And I explained to the client, I made some kind of like sketches, prepare everything. And the client was like, that is so cool, man. Like, you're nuts. That's crazy, but I love it. And then we did a lot of animations with my dreams and the Coca-Cola logo at the end. Yeah, this is another sample. And then to end this thing, I would like to go and finish with some conclusions and things that I learned, just in case through this process of illustrating my dreams. And, you know, that's very linked to me personally. And I would like to share with you. And then we just go for questions. So first thing, your parents' story, it is not all your story. Yes, your parents' story is part of your story. Damn, it's your parents. But it's not you. And it took me a while to understand that. The fact that my grandmother was not successful and my mother was not successful as an artist doesn't mean I cannot be successful as an artist. So this is something that I always tell people, be careful with to listen too much. You have to listen to your parents, but don't listen them too much. Allow yourself to have your own experience. Second thing, you may not be an idiot. You may be just a dreamer. A lot of people think it's crazy or it's stupid to come with this idea. You're not a stupid man. You maybe are a dreamer, and that is amazing. Keep dreaming, bro or girl. Like, come on, go for it. Third, you can live as an artist in many ways. Traditional way, what is? I do an illustration or a painting. I put it there. It has a value. You buy from me. Nowadays, my art from my dreams can be on a Coca-Cola campaign, can be on an animation, can be on my own illustration. And that brings me some other stuff. So at the end, I ended up living off my art. It's many other ways to live from your art. There's another thing. Everybody's like, you have to follow your dreams. I would say, nah, fuck that. Don't follow your dreams. Share your dreams. Tell me about them. Illustrate them. Show me what are you dreaming with. And I think it's okay to make a living out of that, because when we work, what we're doing is we're giving ourselves to other people. And yes, we get money because we need to pay bills, but that's okay. One thing, very important, dare to try and to fail. It's okay to fail. Invest in what you love, but don't invest too much. Like I always say the same, yes, put a lot of your energy in what you love, but don't put too much energy, because you can get 15 years without illustrating your dreams because you put too much energy into it. Non-commercial work and commercial work are very close. So you cannot imagine how much commercial work I got because I was doing in my free time my artistic whatnot of illustrating my dreams. So they're very much linked. So I always say, if you have cool ideas and nobody buys on them, just still do it. It's still kind of, somebody will see it and it will bring something that you can make money from. Don't rely on old glories. Keep learning always. That's I didn't want to be seen as the Xbox guy, and I don't think it's a good thing to live out of old glories and then stay yourself complacent. Just always keep learning stuff. Keep an attitude of learning is really good. What you believe is what you become. That's very important. If you believe you're not an artist, or you cannot live as an artist, or you cannot make money as an artist, you will not make it happen. Trust me on that. But you gotta believe to become. Stay healthy. That's the important thing. Treat yourself and others with respect. Both things are linked. You make me healthy if you treat me well. I make you healthy if I treat you well. Let's all stay healthy. Very important. Something I was talking today, make it personal. I'm kind of tired of this thing. People say, oh, it's not personal. It's a professional thing. Come on, man. You are a person. I'm a person. This is personal. And I think, and I agree with what Bruce Lee said once, you gotta have emotional content. Even when you kick, when you do something, bring emotional content. Be yourself in that moment in there. We tend to think everything is like professional, but without the person, without me as a person, I could not do a good presentation. I could not get pitches. I could not create something that people may enjoy, or that myself I can enjoy. So let's make it more personal. And just an extra, please do not criticize someone else's idea. That's something I learned with time. Maybe it's not linked with this dream whole thing, but I wanted to say, don't criticize someone else's idea or execution if you don't have a better way to do it. So I learned with time, if you show me something and I have some concerns about it, I hate that word. My concern is, don't tell me about your concern. Tell me about how you're going to make this idea better. How you're going to make this illustration better, this animation better. If you do it like this way, we are all going to be in a much more positive point. And I would say this is the 12 things. Maybe I learned some more or some less, but more or less the 12 things that I learned. And that's it. So if you feel curious about these animations or these things or whatever, you can find me on, this is my website. You can find me on Instagram as well. You can find me on LinkedIn, Behance, ArtStation. I think I'm kind of not everywhere, but like God, but I'm in many places. And I am open 100%, both being through the company or individually. If someone wants to collaborate, if someone say, oh, I will love your Flowers, can I illustrate, can I animate your flowers, help you with it? Or can we just create our own flowers? I'm open for all that kind of stuff as soon as we both have time.